Every great success story begins long before the wealth, the freedom, or the applause. It begins with a foundation, not of luck, not of chance, but of personal growth. If you change yourself, everything else changes. Your income, your relationships, your future, they all rise only to the level of your personal development. Tonight I'll show you the very principles that turn ordinary lives into extraordinary ones, the foundation of personal growth. When people talk about success, they often begin with the things you can see: the house, the car, the bank account, the applause. But that is not where success begins. That is only where it shows up. Success begins far earlier in a place most people ignore. It begins with your philosophy, what you choose to believe about life, about work, about people, and about yourself. You can take two people, give them the same business, the same opportunity, the same tools, and the same time. One will flourish, the other will fail. Now, why is that? The answer is not the company. It is not the product. It is not even the market. The difference is in their philosophy. One person sees challenges as reasons to quit. The other sees them as reasons to grow. One person believes money is scarce and hard to come by. The other believes money flows toward value. One looks at discipline as a burden. The other sees it as freedom. Same opportunity. Two philosophies. Completely different results. Your philosophy is like the set of the sail on a boat. The wind is always blowing. Opportunity, change, difficulty, fortune. They all come just like the wind. But the wind does not decide where you end up. The set of your sail does, and the sail is nothing but your philosophy. Your way of thinking. You can complain that the wind is too strong, or that the storm is unfair, or that the breeze never comes your way. But the truth is, someone else with the same wind is sailing into prosperity, while you are drifting into despair. That is why the starting point of success is never money. Some people think, if only I had the capital, I could succeed. No, capital without philosophy is soon lost. Someone else thinks, if I had the right contacts, the right connections, I'd make it. No, connections without philosophy are quickly wasted. Another says, if I just got lucky, life would turn around. Luck without philosophy is like a seed planted on cement. Nothing grows. The starting point is what you believe and how you think. If you want to change your results, don't start with the outside. Start with the inside. Ask yourself, what do I believe about work? Do I believe work is a punishment, something to avoid, something that takes life away from me? Or do I believe work is the channel through which I create value? And by creating value, I create wealth and dignity. That one shift changes how you show up every morning. Ask yourself, what do I believe about money? Do I believe money is evil, dirty, something that corrupts? Or do I believe money is neutral, a tool, a servant that magnifies what I already am? If I am generous, money makes me more generous. If I am selfish, money makes me more selfish. If I believe money is scarce, I will always be afraid. If I believe money flows toward value, I will spend my life finding ways to become more valuable. Ask yourself, what do I believe about relationships? Do I believe people are obstacles, competitors, enemies? Or do I believe people are partners, resources, friends, bridges to opportunity? If I think everyone is out to get me, I will never trust enough to build something great. If I think people can be trusted, I will find alliances that multiply my strength. Examine your philosophy, because it determines everything else. It determines how you spend your time, what habits you develop, what decisions you make, and ultimately what results you create. The difference between success and failure is not luck, not education, not background. It is philosophy. If your philosophy is weak, your foundation is weak. You can put a beautiful house on weak ground, but the storm will expose it. You can put a brilliant career on weak philosophy, but life will test it. And when the test comes, you will crumble. But if your philosophy is strong, if your foundation is deep, then no matter how the winds blow, you will adjust the sail and keep moving forward. Now the good news is, philosophy is not fixed. You can change it, you can learn, you can read, you can listen, you can study, You can take the thoughts that have been handed to you by chance, by upbringing, by society, and you can examine them, test them, keep the ones that serve you, and throw out the ones that don't. You are not stuck with your current philosophy. You can design a new one. That is why I say, don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more wisdom. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more skills. All of that is philosophy. And once the philosophy is right, the rest will follow. So begin today, look at your life, and ask, what sail am I setting? What beliefs am I holding? Are they leading me toward the success I want? Or are they quietly drifting me into failure? If you are honest with yourself, you will see exactly where you need to adjust. And the moment you adjust your philosophy, you have already changed your future. That is the foundation. Success begins not with the paycheck, not with the applause, not with the prize. It begins with philosophy. It begins with the invisible, with the thoughts you carry and the beliefs you choose. That is the starting point. And once you get that right, everything else begins to fall into place. Formal education is important. It teaches you how to read, how to write, how to count, how to navigate the world. It gives you a foundation, and that foundation can make you a living. But if you stop there, you stop short. A living is good, but it is not a life. A living pays the bills, but it rarely creates fortune. It rarely creates freedom. It rarely creates the life of your dreams. To achieve that, you must take another step. You must embrace self-education. Self-education is what you do beyond the classroom. It is the books you choose to read after school is over. It is the mentors you seek out when no one assigns them to you. It is the seminars you attend, the audios you listen to, the notes you take, the wisdom you collect. Not because someone grades you, but because you want to grow. Self-education is voluntary. It is intentional. It is your way of saying, I am not finished. I am a student for life. Think of it this way. The world pays you for the value you bring. If you want to make more, you must become more. But how do you become more? Not by waiting for someone to assign you a textbook. Not by hoping your company will train you. Not by relying only on what you learned years ago. You become more by seeking knowledge every single day. A book can cost you $10, yet contain an idea that makes you $1 million. A seminar can take one weekend, yet save you years of mistakes. A conversation with a mentor can reshape the way you see the world. That is the power of self-education. Some people finish school, then close the books forever. They say, I'm done with learning, and yet they wonder why their lives don't change. Others never stop. They treat each day as a classroom. They read in the morning, they listen in the car, they ask questions, they observe, they take notes. They are always sharpening their minds. And over time, the gap becomes obvious. One person is stuck, living from paycheck to paycheck. The other is rising, building skills, building influence, building wealth. What is the difference? Self-education. I want you to imagine two individuals, both graduate with the same degree, the same grades, the same opportunity. One relies only on that degree. The other says, this is just my starting point. 10 years later, the first is still earning a living. The second has multiplied their value tenfold. Why? Because every year, while one was coasting, the other was reading 50 books, learning new skills, attending workshops, listening to mentors. One stopped growing, the other kept growing, and life rewards growth. Now the good news is, you don't need permission to begin. You don't need to enroll. You don't need approval. You don't even need a classroom. You can start with a single book. You can start with 1 hour a day. You can start by listening instead of scrolling, by observing instead of ignoring, by asking instead of assuming. Self-education is free or cheap, but its rewards are priceless. Make a commitment. 1 hour a day for your own growth. Read something valuable. Listen to a lecture. Study someone successful. Take notes. Reflect. And don't do it once in a while. Make it a daily habit. Just as you eat every day, you must learn every day. Just as your body needs fuel, your mind needs fuel. Remember, formal education can open the door, But it is self-education that decides how far you will go once you step through it. The diploma can get you into the room, but it is your continued learning that keeps you there and eventually puts you in charge. The world is full of people with degrees who are broke, frustrated, unfulfilled. Why? Because they stopped learning. The world is also full of people who never had a degree but became leaders, innovators, builders of fortunes. Why? Because they never stopped learning. So the question is not, what did you study years ago? The real question is, what are you studying today? The question is not, who was your teacher? The real question is, who is teaching you now? The question is not, what grade did you get? The question is, what habit have you built? If you want to create a fortune, start with yourself. Invest in your mind, because that is where fortune begins. Read the books, attend the seminars, find the mentors, take the notes, feed your mind daily, and soon your results will outgrow anything you ever imagined. Self-education is the edge, the advantage, the turning point. And the best part is, anyone can choose it, starting today. Discipline is the great bridge. On one side are your goals, your dreams, your visions. On the other side are the accomplishments, the results, the life you desire. Between those two sides is a gap. And the only way to cross that gap is discipline. Not wishful thinking, not good intentions, not hopeful feelings. Discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It is saying yes to the small, necessary actions, even when the mood is absent, even when no one is watching, even when the excuses whisper in your ear. Discipline is the difference between a plan on paper and a life transformed. Some people set goals at the start of the year, big goals, ambitious goals. They dream of health, wealth, relationships, success. But by February, the goals are forgotten. Why? Not because the goals were impossible, not because the dream was too far, but because the bridge of discipline was never built. Without discipline, goals are nothing but wishes. Discipline creates consistency, and consistency is the magic multiplier. Doing the right thing once in a while makes no difference. Eating one healthy meal won't change your body. Reading one page won't change your mind. Saving $1 won't change your finances. But repeated daily over weeks and months and years, those small actions compound into extraordinary results. That is the miracle of discipline. Think of the farmer. He doesn't plant one day and reap the next. He plants, he waters, he weeds, day after day, season after season. The harvest comes not because of one big effort, but because of consistent small disciplines. Life works the same way. The seeds you plant daily, habits of discipline, determine the harvest you reap. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is freedom. At first it feels like a restriction. You can't eat what you want. You can't waste the time. You can't spend recklessly. But soon you discover discipline gives you health, time, and wealth. The person without discipline is a slave to impulse, a slave to mood, a slave to circumstance. The person with discipline is free to choose, free to create, free to build the life they want. Now, here's the good part. Discipline is learnable. Nobody is born disciplined. Discipline is simply a choice repeated often enough until it becomes a habit. And you don't need to start with 1,000 disciplines. You only need to start with a few. Just 3 daily disciplines can change the entire course of your life. Maybe your 3 are read for 30 minutes, exercise for 30 minutes, and plan your day before it begins. Do those every day for a year and watch how your mind, your body, your productivity transform. Or maybe your 3 are save 10% of every dollar, make 2 new contacts, review your goals before bed. Do those daily, and watch how your finances and opportunities multiply. The point is not which disciplines you choose. The point is that you choose and you practice. Small disciplines practiced daily grow into big achievements. The person who runs 1 mile a day doesn't notice much at first, but after a year he is fit, strong, healthy, and confident. The person who reads 10 pages a day doesn't feel smarter in a week, but after a year he has read 12 books, gained 12 new ideas, and expanded his thinking. Small things done daily make the difference. Without discipline, we drift. We drift toward laziness, we drift toward mediocrity. We drift toward regret. With discipline, we steer. We steer toward progress, toward mastery, toward fulfillment. The choice is always ours. Drift or steer, wish or work, regret or reward. So today, begin building your bridge. Choose 3 disciplines. They don't have to be grand. They just have to be consistent. Write them down, commit to them, and practice them daily. One day you will look back, and the life you dreamed of will not be a dream anymore. It will be your reality. Built one disciplined day at a time. That is the bridge. That is the way across. Goals on one side, results on the other, and in between. The steady footsteps of discipline. Growth never happens by accident. A tree doesn't grow tall by chance. It follows the pull of sunlight. Water doesn't carve valleys by luck. It flows in a direction, and people too need direction if they want to grow. Without it, we drift, we wake up, we work, we eat, we sleep, and we repeat. Days turn into weeks, weeks into years, and before long we wonder where the time went. Growth requires a target, and that target comes in the form of goals and standards. A goal gives you something to aim at. It tells your mind, this is where we are going. Without goals, your energy scatters. You work hard, but you don't know why. You move, but you move in circles. The power of a written goal is that it takes a vague desire and makes it concrete. It is no longer just a dream floating in the air. It is a decision captured on paper. The moment you write a goal, you give your future a shape. But goals are not just about what you want to get. They are also about who you must become. You see, every goal demands a higher version of you. If you set a goal to earn more, you must become more valuable. If you set a goal to be healthier, you must become more disciplined. If you set a goal to have better relationships, you must become more understanding, more patient, more caring. Goals are not just about results. They are about transformation. That is why I say, don't just write what you want. Write what kind of person you are willing to become to achieve it. $1 million goal requires $1 million mindset. A leadership goal requires leadership character. A goal of lasting happiness requires inner peace. The result and the person are always tied together. And this is where standards enter. A goal is something you want to achieve. A standard is the rule you live by daily. Goals inspire you, but standards shape you. A goal says, I will lose 20 pounds. A standard says, I will not skip my daily exercise. A goal says, I will become wealthy. A standard says, I save 10% of everything I earn. A goal says, I want strong relationships. A standard says, I will treat people with respect no matter what. Without standards, goals are fragile. They fade under pressure. They break under temptation. But with standards, goals are supported by daily actions. Goals are the vision. Standards are the discipline that makes the vision real. Now, the act of writing your goals is powerful. Take a pen and paper. Don't just think about it. Don't just say it out loud. Write it down. Why? Because the mind forgets, but paper remembers. The act of writing forces clarity. It demands that you put your desires into words, and words give shape to thought. You can't write, I want to be successful. That is too vague. You must write, I will build a business that earns me this much. I will learn these skills. I will become this kind of leader. Writing makes it real. And once you have written the goal, set the standard. Ask yourself, what daily action, what principle, what discipline must I commit to in order to move toward this goal? The standard might feel small at first, but small standards practiced daily create big results. Let me give you an example. Suppose your goal is to double your income in 3 years. That is clear and measurable. Now, what standard must support that? Perhaps you decide every day I will spend 1 hour learning a new skill. Every week I will reach out to 5 new contacts. Every month I will review my progress. Those are standards, non-negotiable behaviors that pull you toward the goal. Or suppose your goal is to improve your health. You write, I will lower my weight by 20 pounds this year. The supporting standard might be, I will not eat after 9 p.m. I will exercise 4 days a week. I will drink water before coffee. Small, daily, consistent rules. Over time, they move you toward the result. And here's the beauty: when you live by standards, you build character. You stop being the kind of person who quits when it gets hard. You stop being the kind of person who only acts when motivated. You become steady, reliable, disciplined. Your identity shifts, and that is where true growth happens. So here's the action for you tonight. Write one goal, make it clear, make it measurable, something you can see, touch, or count. Then right next to it, write one standard, a principle you will live by daily to support that goal. Start there. Just one goal, just one standard. And once you practice that, add another and another. Soon you will have a written map of your future and the rules to guide you toward it. Remember this: goals give you the vision of what's possible. Standards make you into the person who can achieve it. Together, they provide both the destination and the road. Without them, life is accidental. With them, life is intentional. Growth requires direction, and direction begins with the goals you set and the standards you live by. It has been said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And isn't that true? Spend enough time with complainers and you will find yourself complaining. Spend enough time with dreamers and you will start to dream bigger. Spend enough time with disciplined people and you will begin to feel the pull of discipline. We cannot escape it. Human beings are social creatures, and our environment shapes us more than we like to admit. If you want to know where your life is heading, look around at the people you associate with. Are they lifting you up or are they dragging you down? Do they challenge you to grow or do they make excuses that keep you small? It doesn't take long before their habits become your habits. Their attitudes become your attitudes. Their results become your results. Environment is not neutral. It is either feeding your growth or starving it. Let me give you an example. 2 young men start out in the same town, with the same resources, the same opportunities. One spends his evenings with friends who laugh at ambition, mock discipline, and live only for the weekend. The other spends his evenings with a small group who talk about ideas, share books, encourage dreams, and hold each other accountable. 10 years later, their lives don't look the same. One wonders why nothing ever worked out. The other wonders how life got so good. The difference wasn't luck. The difference was environment. That's why I tell people, if you want to change your life, you must sometimes change your circle. You don't have to abandon everyone, but you must be wise. You cannot afford to spend most of your time with those who pull you backward. It is like trying to run a race with people clinging to your ankles. You may love them, you may care for them, but you cannot allow them to dictate your future. On the other hand, if you deliberately place yourself in environments of growth, the change is remarkable. Find a mentor who is ahead of you. Someone whose results you admire. Just being in their presence will stretch you. Their thinking, their habits, their standards will rub off on you. Find peers who encourage your best, who won't let you settle for less, who applaud your victories and challenge your excuses. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your potential, not your limitations. Think of it like planting a seed. You can have the best seed in the world, but if you plant it in poor soil with no sunlight and no water, what happens? Nothing. But take the same seed and place it in rich soil with light and water, and it grows into something magnificent. You are that seed. Your associations and environment are the soil. Choose carefully where you plant yourself. Now, I understand sometimes you cannot change your environment overnight. Maybe your family doesn't support your dreams. Maybe your colleagues are negative. Maybe your old friends prefer gossip over growth. That's reality. But here's the good news. You can still add new influences. You can still choose who gets the most of your time. You can still fill your mind with uplifting voices through books, audios, and seminars. If you don't have 5 people around you who inspire you, let a book become one of them. Let a mentor's recording become one of them. Your environment is not only physical, it is also mental. So here is what you must do. Audit your associations. Take an honest look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Ask yourself, are they helping me grow? Are they living the kind of life I want? Do they make me better or do they keep me the same? If the answer is not encouraging, then you know what must change. And don't forget to seek out mentors. A mentor doesn't have to be someone you meet in person every week. A mentor can be someone whose books you study, whose speeches you listen to, whose example you follow. The important thing is exposure. If you expose yourself to greater minds, greater standards, greater philosophies, They will lift you higher than you could climb alone. So remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you don't like your average, change your 5. Choose people of vision, people of courage, people of discipline. Choose environments that inspire rather than discourage. Because whether you realize it or not, your environment is shaping you every single day. And if you shape your environment wisely, your environment will shape you into the person capable of living the life you dream. Adversity has a strange way of introducing us to ourselves. It shows us what we are made of. It reveals our strength, our patience, our determination. Without struggle, we never discover our true capacity. Life, in its wisdom, does not hand us only sunshine. It gives us storms. And those storms, though unpleasant, are the very forces that shape our growth. Think about it. Muscles do not grow without resistance. You don't get stronger lifting feathers. You get stronger lifting weights. The resistance tears the muscle, and the repair makes it stronger than before. Adversity works the same way for the mind and spirit. Challenges stretch us, strain us, sometimes even break us. But afterward, we are tougher, wiser, more capable. Struggles shape strength. Now, some people see problems as stop signs. They think, this is too hard. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. Maybe I should quit. But problems are not stop signs. They are lessons. They are signals. Not that you should stop, but that you should adjust, grow, and continue. Every problem carries within it a message, a skill you need to learn, a weakness you need to strengthen, a perspective you need to change. If you run from the problem, you run from the lesson. If you face it, you graduate to the next level. Consider the farmer again. He faces drought, flood, insects, heat, year after year. The elements test him. If he gave up at the first sign of difficulty, there would be no harvest. But he learns. He adapts. He grows wiser each season. His adversity becomes his teacher. And over time, he develops resilience, patience, and skill that no easy season could ever teach. Look back at your own life. Was it the easy times that made you who you are? Or was it the difficulties? Chances are the moments you remember most, the ones that gave you depth, strength, and character, came from adversity. A setback in business taught you resourcefulness. A heartbreak taught you compassion. A failure taught you perseverance. Adversity is not pleasant, but it is profitable. So here is the challenge. Instead of asking, why me, when problems come, ask, what is this here to teach me? Instead of saying, this is the end, say, this is training. Every difficulty is growth training. Every obstacle is an opportunity to strengthen your mental and emotional muscles. If you reframe the struggle, it loses its power to defeat you and gains the power to transform you. Let's say you are in financial difficulty. Most people panic, complain, or give up. But what if you reframed it? What if you saw it as training in financial discipline, in creativity, in resourcefulness? You would look for ways to cut expenses, increase income, find opportunities. You would grow in ways you never would have if money had always been easy. Later, when abundance comes, you will have wisdom to manage it well. Or maybe your challenge is health. Instead of resenting the struggle, what if you treated it as training in discipline, in patience, in gratitude for the body you do have? The very challenge that seems unfair can become the teacher that saves your life. Or perhaps the adversity is in relationships. People let you down, disappoint you, betray you. Painful, yes, but also training in forgiveness, in boundaries, in understanding. Those lessons make you wiser in future relationships, more compassionate, more discerning. So the action for you is simple but powerful. Take one current challenge in your life and reframe it. Ask, if this is training, what is it training me for? What strength is it building? What lesson is it teaching? Write it down. Commit to seeing it not as a stop sign, but as a stepping stone. Life has a way of testing us, not to destroy us, but to prepare us. The bigger the destiny, the bigger the challenges. Adversity is not your enemy. It is your instructor, your coach, your training ground. Welcome it, learn from it, and let it shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. One day you will look back at the very things that seemed unbearable and say, "Those were the days that made me," and you will realize adversity was never there to stop you. It was there to prepare you for the success you were destined to achieve. There comes a point in personal growth where you realize it cannot just be about you. Yes, you must work on yourself. You must build discipline, set goals, and pursue success. But if it all ends with you, it is incomplete. True growth is not just for yourself. It is for the value you bring to others. The highest measure of success is not what you get, but what you give. Think about it. Money, possessions, recognition. These are fine, but they are not the ultimate. They fade. They pass. They don't follow you when you're gone. What endures is the impact you have on others. Did you make someone's life better? Did you add value where you could? Did you leave people better than you found them? That is the real scoreboard of life. Imagine two people who both achieve wealth. One keeps it all, hoards it, and measures life only by personal comfort. The other uses it to create opportunities for others, to support causes, to lift up those who had less chance. At the end of the day, who do we admire more? Who leaves behind a legacy? It is the one who gave. And it's not just about money. Contribution is about character. A kind word when someone is discouraged. A helping hand when someone is struggling. A bit of encouragement when someone is doubting themselves. These are contributions. Sometimes the smallest act from you can be the turning point for someone else. If you really want fulfillment, not just success, you must link growth with contribution. If you study, learn, grow, build discipline, gain wisdom, then turn and use it for others, you create meaning. You live not only a successful life, but a significant one. Success will give you comfort. Contribution will give you joy. Character is at the heart of it, because if you grow in skills but not in character, your success will collapse. Character is honesty, integrity, responsibility. Kindness. It is doing what is right even when no one is watching. It is keeping your word, respecting others, standing by your values. And here is the truth. Character always shows, you can't hide it. Over time, it will be the foundation on which your entire life is built. Now here is the beauty of contribution and character. They don't take away from your success, they multiply it. People want to do business with those they trust. They want to follow leaders of integrity. They want to be around people who give more than they take. If you cultivate contribution and character, opportunities chase you instead of you chasing them. So what should you do? Simple. Every day, find one way to contribute beyond yourself. It doesn't have to be grand. Hold the door open. Share something you've learned. Mentor someone who is just beginning. Encourage a colleague. Volunteer an hour. Give a little extra effort that makes someone else's day easier. One act daily, multiplied over a year, over a lifetime, becomes a mountain of contribution. At the end, people may forget the titles you held, the money you earned, the possessions you owned, but they will never forget how you made them feel, how you treated them, what you gave to them. That is your true legacy. So yes, pursue personal growth, discipline, goals, success. But remember, the ultimate test is not how high you climb, but how many you lift with you on the way up. That is where real fulfillment lies. That is where you move from success to significance. Reinforced personal growth is the foundation for everything else. Success is attracted by the person you become,